I'm going to talk about something rather creepy today. In 2018, one evening in March, I found myself plotting my ideal suicide. I was going to fly to Florida, go to the Sunshine Skyway, and jump off it. I caught myself because I would love to go back to Florida, and if I were in Florida, I certainly wouldn't be committing suicide. Plus, I hadn't been depressed at all, so where on earth did this come from? I sat down and went through what had happened throughout the day, and I recalled something that had happened at the public library earlier that day. I'd been sitting at one of the computers, and all of a sudden, a woman behind me started addressing me very loudly. Hey, you there, yeah, you with the glasses. Something about me being vain, having taken off my glasses, but I'm actually nearsighted, so I take off my glasses because I can't see with my glasses on because they're for farsight. And she said, I'm going to give you directions now. When you get to the top of the hill, you take the escalator straight down to death. You hear me? You take the escalator straight down to death. And she kept repeating that, and I heard that, and I thought, this is really weird. And I tuned her out and continued with whatever I was doing at the time. Unfortunately, what she was doing had crept into my subconscious, and I found myself looking for the top of the hill, the culmination of a bridge, and jumping off it, taking the escalator straight down to death. I have been the target of something called sadistic stalking. It's classic sadistic stalking, except that these days it includes a lot of hacking, which wasn't the case, say, 30 years ago. And I assumed that this woman had been fooled into doing this and hadn't really realized what she was doing. I was talking about this with a friend about a week ago or so on Skype, and she said, why didn't you ask her why she was doing that? And first of all, I hadn't instantly realized what she was doing, and because she was doing something really strange, yeah, well, that's not my problem, is it? She wasn't hurting anyone as far as I could see. And second, when I discovered what had happened, I was actually quite scared because this was rather creepy. Anyway, a few days ago, I spotted this same woman sitting at a desk by herself, nobody else around. And I walked up to her and I asked her, a few years ago, you tried to get me to commit suicide. Why? And at first she said, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know you. And then I said, well, I was wearing different glasses then. I put the emphasis on the word glasses, and I know I was wearing a face mask and I had my cap on, my beautiful grey cap. And then she said, I don't remember. And this rattled me because it wasn't, why on earth would I try to get you to try to talk you into suicide and stuff like that, which a normal person likely would do, I would think. But no, it was, I don't remember. The suicide rates in Portsmouth have been slightly higher than in the surroundings. I don't know. I'm not suggesting that this has anything to do with this woman, but this woman, I don't know her. I'd never had any negative interactions with her. I'd barely interacted with her at all. And from that point on, I tried to avoid her as much as possible. I don't know what she was up to and what she's up to normally, but I did decide to report it to the local authorities. I reported it to the director of public health, and she responded, I don't know whether she's going to look into this. The thing is, I can't do anything with this at all. I have absolutely no powers to any degree here in Portsmouth. Who I am targeted by? Whether it's perhaps incels who see me as a personal insult to their sad, sorry state of life, whether it's a crazy psychopath, a malignant psychopath, whether it's somebody who is autistic, who apparently, as autistic people, apparently can also do really strange things and experiment with people and stalk them because they have these obsessions with topics, and they can have obsessions with persons too. I don't know. Portsmouth is a really, really, really strange town with a really, really strange culture. It's highly insular and therefore highly hostile. And it's not me saying that. There's been a TV documentary on that. I wasn't aware of that, sadly. I wasn't aware of the fact that Portsmouth was an island. It's literally an island, Portsea Island. Most of Portsmouth is crammed onto that island. But that's not what I was going to talk about. The thing is, this weird suicide instruction. If this woman was doing this to me, I would find it likely that she's also doing this to others. And I've noticed that when you live in poverty, people tend to mistake it for being feeble-minded because you look shabby and as if you don't care, and you look and not aren't able to take care of yourself, and you look sad and depressed. But that's, in my case, completely 100%, well, okay, 90% correlated with Portsmouth. I was working in Southampton. When I was working in Southampton, I was surviving. I was doing okay. I wasn't rich, but I've never aspired to be rich. I was holding my own, and I was, well, not necessarily happily holding my own because I didn't like Southampton much. But now I'm drifting. The thing is, this woman has access to a lot of so-called vulnerable people. Is she doing this to all women who frequent the facilities a lot? Was it a one-off thing? I have no idea, but I do know that it's really rattled me. Back in March 2018, it scared the shit out of me, frankly. It scared the shit out of me, and it also made me angry. I'm going to upload this now, straight away, because of course my second computer has now suddenly collapsed as well, and both my phones are getting messed with. Nah, there's absolutely nothing going on. I'm just a senile old cow who can't handle technology and who's making up hackers to hide that she can't handle technology. Of course, I've had programming in my background and I've built computers, but I don't know a thing about technology. Of course not.